Welcome. Thank you for joining the Live in Divine Harmony podcast. I'm Carmen, your divine synergist of Heart's Joy. I'm a spiritual leader of purpose and a numerologist. I help those who are turned off by church, who are seeking connection, fulfillment, joy, and purpose, who may be feeling frustrated instead of experiencing joy daily. They want to fit in and will do anything to feel good, but it's not authentically who they are or what they want. Through coaching programs and events, I guide my clients to live their purpose and live intentionally every day, leading to a fulfilled and joyful life. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for notifications so you never miss another episode. Let's dive in. Welcome back to a new episode of the Live in Divine Harmony podcast. I have always loved The Wizard of Oz, always. Growing up as a kid, as an adult, I was fascinated with the ruby red slippers. I've actually seen them at I believe it was the Smithsonian Museum. It is a movie that I have always been fascinated with. I was fascinated with the ruby red slippers, with Glinda, with her outfit. I even at one time had it dressed up like Glinda the Good Witch, Glinda the Good Witch. And I even have Christmas ornaments actually that I'm looking at right now of Glinda. I have a Barbie doll of Glinda the Good Witch. And it wasn't until I got older that I started to read the different theories people have about what the different characters in that movie represents and what the ruby red slippers represents, which isn't good, by the way. And I find these things fascinating because I'm just going to use movies as an example. When you look at different movie storylines, a lot of them will depict either what's coming, what's going to happen. Yes, that's real. What's going to happen. They have to tell you and show it to you before they do it. Or it somehow represents some part of life. It's very true to life, very real to life. And, as an adult, as I started to see this, it really puts a new twist on movies for me. I actually haven't been in the movie theater in several years. I quite frankly don't remember the last movie I actually saw in the movie theater. And right now, I go to the movie theater when I want to see it and feel it in that environment, meaning you can feel the music. It's like you're in the movie itself, like you're playing one of the characters. And I had already seen the Broadway show Wicked, which I loved. It's been a while. It's been several years since I've seen it, and I honestly can't remember if I've seen it once or twice. I absolutely loved it. Wicked is the prequel to Wizard of Oz, for those of you who don't know. I actually had a friend who didn't know that, and also it didn't click with her that it's a musical. So even if you don't like musicals, you may or may not like Wicked. Um, I love it for so many reasons, and I actually love it more after I watched the movie. I wasn't going to go watch the movie. I wasn't going to go watch the movie because I felt like I already know what it's about, and why go watch it? And I heard from a few different people how amazing it was. Heard about some of the behind the scenes of the main characters and everything that they went through, did their own stunts. And I thought, okay, I'm just supposed to go and I want to see it in the theater. So I went to my favorite movie theater where I can eat the same time that you're watching the movie. One of my favorite things to do. Thought, why not? And I go, and I was told, don't compare it to what you know as the Broadway show because they're phenomenal in their own right. Those are I can't remember the lady's exact words, but it was, they're amazing on their own. And it's great because for those people who may never go see the Broadway version, because they're really two different versions. This gives them at least the storyline of it. And honestly, I'm glad somebody told me that it was like a part two because I would have been mad. I would have been big mad if I would have gone and next thing you know, it's like to be continued. It's like, no, it's not. Anyway, there was a certain part of the movie where I am 100% invested. 100% invested, and I no longer like Glinda. I'm angry at Glinda, and I so am Elphaba. I relate to Elphaba. And I almost yelled that in the movie theater, like, oh my gosh, I am Elphaba. And I even called my friend because I knew she saw the movie. And I think that was one of the very first things I said to her afterwards is, I am Elphaba. Like literally that some of those experiences that she had in the movie, yes, I'm going to give some spoilers. When you walk in and the music stops and everybody turns around and stares at you. And I know that this has happened in other movies as well. And I think it was Can't Buy Me Love or Can't Buy Love or something. That was one of the movies, but there was something about Elphaba. And I think it was because you see, so you know, quote unquote, that she's this wicked witch, that she's this mean person. But is she really? Is she really? Was she created to be that way? And then you see the prequel of Wicked and you see what her experiences were to get her to where she was, right, in Wizard of Oz. Because you don't really know her in Wizard of Oz. You just know in the Wizard of Oz, she's killed right off the bat. And you're told all of these things about the quote unquote Wicked Witch of the West. And you know that she's green, you know certain things about her, but do you really know her? And I related to that experience where she walked in, the music stops, and everyone turns and looks at her. She does her own dance, and they all look at her like, what on earth are you doing? I have had that experience. And when you have that type of an experience, when you are in your younger years, and mine happened to be in high school, it is not a great experience. When you have that experience over and over and over, one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to have resilience and move through it, move past it, and prove everybody this is really who I am. And I don't even like to say prove, but for some reason that word keeps coming out. And to really show people, this is who I am. Really, this is who I am. Versus you're just going to go ahead and fall in line with the narrative of who people really think you are, which is not the truth of who you really are. And so I see so many different meanings paralleled with what is happening today in society, in politics, in my personal life, in life in general. Of there are stories that of who we were told as kids, oh, you must just be shy, or um, you are this, and our parents have told us, oh, well, we're shy, or well, you can't do that. You can't be a doctor. You can't go basically go live your dream. And I was told that as a kid. I was told I could never make any money being a dancer, and so that was a poor life decision to go further with that passion that I had. And then we start to create our identity around it. And next thing you know, those are false narratives. Those aren't even our narratives, those are agreements. So if you've read the book, The Four Agreements, you can start to see the parallels. And what I loved about Alphabet in the first part of the Wicked movie, because that's all I'm focusing on right now. One, I haven't seen part two, but in the first part of the Wicked movie is she kept blowing past those. She wasn't willing to buy into these narratives of who people thought she was. And, ask yourself, what narratives, what storylines have you bought into of who you are, because you're most likely really not that person. It's an agreement that you've made with society, with your friends, with your family, of this identity, but it's really not who you are. And the easiest one I think to relate to is shy. Was I shy as a kid? Absolutely. I grew out of that when I started working at a bank when I was 18, and they actually taught me how to have, honestly, just general conversations. And now I talk to random people all the time. Like, I've never met a stranger. So that is a storyline that was given to me up until I said no more. I no longer agree with this storyline. And now I'm going to go be who I am authentically. Who I am authentically. So there's that parallel. Think back about how many times you've heard XYZ about a politician, about it's the news cycle, right? So the news media is telling you what they want you to think. They're giving you storylines of whatever the storyline is for that day, and that's what they want you to believe. And some people their whole entire life have believed that, have believed the media, and I'm talking about mainstream media, and it doesn't matter what other information is presented to them, they will never look at anything else. They will never stray away from what they think is truth. And so the storyline of XYZ person is bad, it's a narrative. They're always going to stick with that. And start to ask yourself why. Where is this really coming from? And I can't tell you, when I was watching this movie, like, my mind was just going in all these different directions, and of just seeing how talented the cast was. And I totally understand from a theater perspective, like, how much work is put into not just a movie, by the way, it's put into the dancing. There's a guy I follow, Alex Wong. He was on So You Think You Can Dance, and I had found out he wasn't in the movie, couldn't get his visa in time. They had filmed in the UK, and I say that because he had shared certain things with us on social media and about the dances, and just how incredibly talented those people are. If you have watched the movie, I highly encourage you to go to YouTube. There's some great videos out there behind the scenes of how they made it, and it just completely, absolutely blows me away. And that's an aside, because I am incredibly passionate about this movie, and in its own right, the movie itself and the people who play those characters and everything that went into making that movie, and really look at that deeper meaning. Even if you need to go rewatch it and look at it through what I call different lenses, now put these lenses on. I started to see myself in Alphabet and different people in my life in these situations. And when at the very end, when there were three people who basically had been lying this whole time to Alphabet, I was beyond angry, because I have had that experience, and I actually had that experience recently. And it's like, wow. And it's right under our noses this entire time. And sometimes we don't even see it. And she didn't see it. She really felt like these people in the movie had her best interest in mind, and they didn't. They were doing it all for them. And so, two ways to look at it. And by the way, Glinda was definitely all about herself, which is why I'm so not a Glinda fan anymore. Although I love the costume. And then that's something I'll work through. And oh my gosh, like, seriously, she made that movie. She made it all about herself. And that's something that, when you start to understand and learn life's about you and it's not about you, and when you are outward focused, it literally will change your entire life. Your conversations change, your relationships change. And it was something that was presented to me when I was, I would say, in my mid 20s. And I heard it, but I didn't really get it until about 5 years ago when I had gone through a leadership and coaching program. And it's like, okay, I get it. I'm actually seeing the results of that now. And now, 5 years after, I still go back, I still do coaching, and I see it now more than ever. And it's almost easier to spot those people who are all about them. For me, anyway, this year, it's been easier to spot that than before. And a lot of it's because we're shifting and changing, right? We are being shown certain information, and you really have to discern, with especially with AI now, to discern, is this AI or is this real? Right? Is this video of a person, is it really Tom Cruise, or is it an impersonator? Because and the impersonator even says they're impersonating Tom Cruise. And that person's been out there for a while. And I knew all of this was coming. I knew we were coming to the point where it would be AI, and it's going to be difficult to tell, is it AI generated, or is this really that person? And if you haven't watched the movie yet, go with these lenses. If you have watched the movie, I highly encourage you to rewatch it or think back and ask yourself, who did you relate with? What character did you relate with? And why? Because there's a reason why. There's a reason why you related to that character. And when my friend shared that she really related with Elphaba, I asked her, and it was an emotional response for her. I don't know if she never said that she actually had some of those experiences like I'd had, and she's still highly related to Elphaba. And I feel like we all can in some respects, because there have been people that have said certain things about us. You've had multiple experiences. And, when you look back, that was a choice point for you in your life. How are you going to show up? Are you going to be angry about it and you're going to maybe choose violence, or I'm done, or did you say, I may do something different, right? I'm still going to be me in this situation. I'm still going to show up in love, and it's just going to look different. Are you going to show up as who you are authentically, or are you going to show up as the narrative? And if you are showing up as the narrative, meaning the agreement that you've made with who people think that you are, what is really stopping you from showing up in your authentic self? That's a lot of the work that I do with Heart's Joy, because you've got to get to your authentic self in order to understand, one, who you are, how you function, heal, and truly live your purpose. Hands down. And honestly, once you start to understand who you are authentically, that also shifts and it opens you up for your relationship with Jesus. It just does. And so it's not easy. No one said it's easy. And there's a reason why you're playing small. There's a reason why you're falling back into your old habits, into your old patterns. There's a reason why you're having a hard time being who you are. Maybe you don't even know who you are. Maybe you aren't sure you've identified as, a father and a husband and a brother most of your life, but you're like, I'm not even sure who I am anymore. And I'm seeing this more and more. I'm seeing where people aren't sure who they really are, and it's a process. And I'm also seeing that in transition, people who are in transition, which the Cultivate Clarity, Confidence and Clarity Masterclass is perfect for you, especially when you're in the middle of a transition. What do I mean by that? You are maybe you were working from home and you want to go back to work, or you want to start a business, or you're now an MC nester and you aren't sure, who are you really? What does this look like now for me? That masterclass now, not only is December a great time, December of 2024 a great time because of the universal energies, and I shared about that in the last couple of podcasts. Go check that out. It's a great time to relook at it, especially when you're in transition. Maybe you're getting ready to graduate college and you're getting ready to go out into the real world. A lot of people are graduating in December, and it's kind of like, okay, what does this look like? I remember when I graduated college in December, I graduated early and I left a lot of my friends. And I had a couple of friends who were older, so they were already out in the real working world. And I remember my parents kept saying, this is going to look different for you. And I argued with them, and no, it's not. And I'm still going to be talking to all these people. And it totally is. It was go to, Carmen, you can't stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning. You got to get up early to go to work now. I mean, it looks different. Those types of life transitions is what I'm referring to. Maybe you just had a baby and you're going through those emotions of, okay, now I have a baby. Now this is going to look different. Whatever that situation is. My goal in sharing Wicked, the movie, was so that you could see how movies and music, honestly, but specifically movies, can and do have a deeper meaning for us. They are fun, they're entertaining, and there's also a lot of substance to them as well. Yes, you go and enjoy a movie when you can take yourself outside of the movie and look at it from what I call a 50,000 viewpoint. So you're up in an airplane looking down, and you're able to have a different viewpoint of, let's say, the world or whatever's happening at that time. It shifts things for you and everyone around you, and it will definitely shift your life. And that's why I talk about perspective and how important shifting your perspective is along your spiritual journey, and not getting so tied to doing things one way. Are you open to a different way of being, a different way of doing things? Are you open? Because if you're not, and if you always have to be right and it has to be a certain way, you're going to get those results that you're going to get. That's what you're creating in your life. So start to, even in your interactions every single day, just start to notice how you're showing up and what is it that you are creating? What are you causing? And go back. If you have not watched that movie, go watch the movie. I would love to get your thoughts, how you felt. Who did you most resonate with from the Wicked movie? And why? Why is that? And share that in the Experience Your Awakening online community. Everything is on what's called Mighty Networks. It's a great way to interact, to build those communities, build those connections. Um, take it off. I want to say offline, right? It's still online, but it's not on a particular social media platform. It's its own platform. I'll make sure that you have the link, the QR code to join. You'll create an account, and you can also download the app as well. Join us online in there, and let me know. Let me know what resonated for you and why. The next podcast will be the numerology for 2025. And I will also do one for January 2025 as well. 2025 is a numerology 9-year, and I will share with you what that looks like for, I'm going to say, the collective, because it's a general energy for that I'll be looking at during that podcast. So until then, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Sending you much love.